You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, February 17th, 2021, middle of the weekday, hump day, starting at long, slow glide down to Powhatan on a Friday, and whatever insanity is in store for us. And obviously part of the insanity is yet another winter storm is heading on into the south and those poor people down in Texas. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Meanwhile, of course, Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. We're going to do news until we run out of news, and then we'll start taking phone calls. Those poor people down in Texas, they're really dealing with it. This last winter storm, which is still out there on the East Coast, by the way, has killed at least 23 people across the country. Right now, 3.5 million Texans still have no electric power, and Governor Greg Abbott is up there demanding an investigation into the energy company. Harumph, harumph, harumph. And they're saying that it may actually be a few days before they can get the power back on so that these poor people can heat their homes here. Story coming on out from Investment Watch blog. They're basically saying that the entire power grid may collapse, and it will be a very long time before it is brought back to normal. So fortunately, of course, RBN is still getting electricity, but the price of electricity has just gone up 10,000%. And so I'd hate to think what the electric bill is going to look like for this month. And it's another reason for you to reach into your wallets and donate to RBN. And we'll be talking about that as well a little bit later in the program. So down in Texas, it's a really good example of how the green agenda was all about money and votes, and it was never thought all the way through. And if you have followed my criticisms about the green movement, you will understand that my biggest complaint against them is they don't think about the long-term consequences and the downside of these proposals they're coming up with. And one of my pet peeves, of course, is ethanol, which when it was first introduced was actually ruining the fuel systems on older cars. And it turned out it wasn't carbon neutral after all. And you had to buy and burn more of it to get the same energy that you would get out of an equivalent volume of gasoline. So they're looking at these power outages down in Texas. And the Texas Power Authority is out there saying, well, they're no longer rolling outages, they're controlled outages. And I guess that's their attempt to try and make it look like they've somehow got this situation under control, but they don't. There are people down there snowed into their homes, and they have no electricity because those heavily subsidized electric wind turbines have frozen to immobility, and all those heavily subsidized solar panels that are out there are covered with snow. And so there's this one remaining electric utility in Texas that's traditionally powered on fossil fuels. They cannot keep up with demand for the entire state. So all of that stuff is frozen. Apparently, they're even having trouble with some of the gas pipes freezing. And the governor of Texas has called for the leaders of the state's energy board to resign because they were not prepared to deal with this. In Houston, there is a furniture store called Mattress Mac. And this guy opened up his store so that freezing residents who did not have electricity could find a warm refuge in the storm. Apparently, his store still had electricity or some other kind of power and was able to keep warm. And that was a very generous thing for him to do. And it shows that there are still good people out there who are really thinking about their fellow citizens. Meanwhile, the people in Texas are getting very angry because the power grid CEO is refusing to apologize for what has happened. But then again, not that I'm a big fan of CEOs, it wasn't this guy's fault. The wind turbines were subsidized. The solar panels were subsidized. They were pushing Texas toward green renewable energy and didn't stop to think what happens if the turbines stop and the solar panels stop. There was no fallback. There was no diversification of energy sufficient to keep the state running. Now, we've had problems with wind turbines out in Hawaii. There's a fairly new facility on the north of Oahu that is doing okay, but there are two problems. One is that occasionally the wind will stop blowing, and then you're not getting any electricity out of it. Or believe it or not, the wind will blow too fast, at which point they have to feather those blades on the turbines and just let them sit idle. Because they're not designed to withstand a wind above a certain amount. Down on the Big Island, there's another wind turbine farm that is a tourist attraction, and it's corroding into ruin. These turbines were bought supposedly with a 25-year warranty on the turbine gear train. They started failing after just 5 years, and the company that had built them had gone out of business. So there's this forest of dead turbines down there. Not a robust, proven technology at this point. And as if they didn't have enough problems there, there is another widespread winter storm. It's named Viola by the Weather Channel. It is coming into the south right now. Here in Santa Claus, Indiana, we're going to be on the north edge of it, and we're getting just a few little snow flurries out there right now, but they are expecting heavier snow later tonight and into tomorrow. And there's going to be more snow and ice, and it's going to go right into Texas. Really, those poor people have definitely suffered enough for the green agenda. Now, Tucker Carlson was out there, and he had one of his reports saying that the elites who are pushing this green energy agenda are out of touch with America, which I would edit to say they're out of touch with reality. When they were dreaming up all of this stuff about turbines and solar panels, they weren't including dreaming about days without wind or overcast days or days with heavy snow that are going to cover those solar panels. And they didn't make contingency plans to deal with that. That's just bad engineering. It really is. There was a critique of Tucker Carlson where they were out there saying, oh, he's just trying to blame the turbines and the solar panels. And right now, the green industry, the companies that sell the turbines and the solar panels, the whole political agenda is in panic mode. Because these storms have basically shown the shortcomings of that whole Green New Deal that is being proposed, and they're trying to find some way they can salvage their public image. But that is going to be a tall order after these storms are done. And we still don't know if there aren't more storms coming after Viola. With the jet stream behaving the way that it is, we really don't know. Another article, this one from the All News Pipeline, saying that the situation unfolding across America proves the preppers were right all along. Again, those people who were prepared to deal with these kind of outages, they had generators or batteries or whatever they had, they're using them now, and they are staying kind of comfortable and surviving, whereas others are not. And there are deaths already. In one case, a mother and a daughter were sitting in their car and using the car's heater to stay warm, and they died of carbon monoxide poisoning. In another case, there was a grandmother and 3 children started a fire in their fireplace, did not really know how to do so safely, set their house on fire, and died in that. And it's just an ugly situation out there. Again, in Texas, there is a mayor who had to resign after he called the snowed-in residents lazy and attacked them for complaining about the power outages. And he said, only the weak will perish. Yeah, he definitely needed to leave. Carl Denninger is out there saying, so you want green energy? Well, Texas is a preview for the nation's future under green energy. It's going to work just fine if you have a steady wind and sunny days. And if you don't, well, then you are out of luck. Because of the road conditions here, this is a YouTube video. The food supply chain is shutting down as stores have got empty shelves, even up here in Indiana. And it's going to get very, very tight before we get out of this. And of course, none of this suffering, none of this hardship is going to discourage the woke culture or the celebrities from trying to exploit this for whatever their agenda happens to be. Now, Bette Midler is now suggesting that the Texas winter storm is a payback from God to Senators Cruz and Cornyn. And, she's out there trying to score political points. And she tweeted out this message late yesterday, describing the Republican senators from Texas as hateful, vicious, and cruel. And she implied that God is punishing the politicians for voicing objections to the electoral college certifications in January. So that's your Bette Midler for you. Also in the celebrity news, very sad news. Rush Limbaugh passed away earlier today. The accolades are already pouring on in. Trump issued a statement. George Bush issued a statement. And everybody is coming on out there. He passed away from his stage 4 lung cancer. And he'd been battling it, and he was trying to work right up to the very end, and he made it. He was only off the air, I think, about a week and a half ago. He's been on the air for years. He actually pioneered not just the conservative talk radio format, but much of the current business model that we see in talk radio across the country today. So he really was a pioneer. I didn't agree with him all the time. But definitely he's an icon. There's no way to get away from it. He will be sorely missed. Meanwhile, now that he has been acquitted for the second time by the United States Senate, Donald Trump is jumping back into the public eye and is drawing a line in the sand between himself and the GOP establishment. And he issued a statement absolutely savaging Mitch McConnell as a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack. And basically, he came on out saying the Republican Party can never again be respected or strong with political leaders like Senator Mitch McConnell at its helm. Now, this is begging the question, is Trump really going to move forward with forming his own new party, which will draw a lot of people, including the majority of current Republicans, or is he aiming at a coup d'etat, having been the victim of one himself, at the current Republican leadership? But at this point, it's pretty obvious he's going to attempt some kind of a comeback in 2024. Meanwhile, Joe Biden yesterday was being asked about Donald Trump, and he basically unloaded on the press corps saying, I'm tired of talking about Donald Trump. I don't want to talk about him anymore. He basically dodged the questions. And he said he will let the Department of Justice decide if Trump is investigated and prosecuted. For what? Littering? I mean, really. Story coming on out of Domagood, this connected to what I just said. 53% of Republicans back Donald Trump for 2024. Mike Pence is in second place at 12%. Even Donald Trump Jr. scored far higher than most GOP senators. So the Trump family name has come out of this whole crisis pretty much unscathed at this point. This is a troubling story. It came out of IntelliHub. And Joe Biden told CNN news anchor Anderson Cooper that when he wakes up next to his wife Jill every morning, he forgets just where he is. Now, he's been president for 4 weeks in office, and yet he told Anderson Cooper that when he wakes up in the White House, it takes him a few minutes to realize exactly where he is. That is a little scary. And the reason it's scary has to do with another story. This one is from Sputnik News, but it's been echoed in a lot of other places. And the story surrounds the fact that Joe Biden, even though he is the president of the United States of America, is not really taking a lot of the phone calls coming in from foreign heads of state. That, in point of fact, Vice President Kamala Harris is working that phone line and taking the calls on behalf of Biden. And they're wondering, has it already happened? Is Harris already really in charge of what's going on in that administration? We had another story that Biden apparently is spending weekends at Camp David playing video games. Not a very presidential image, I think. Now, the Biden administration is promising to end jail time for drug offenses. They are against defunding the police. This was all said in a town hall in Milwaukee yesterday. And I'm in agreement. We can't defund the police. There's a lot of violence out there. We need to repurpose them. We need to reprioritize them and get them back out there dealing with the criminals. But we don't need to defund them, because everywhere the police have been defunded, things have really gone to heck in a handbasket. Let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. It is out there, and there's a story that came on out of the Gateway Pundit, which basically says they are lying to you. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not COVID. This is vote fraud. I'm skipping ahead in my talking points. They are lying to you. States that claim that audits of a few machines and ballots will confirm the validity of the election are just plain lying. And we have seen this time and time before. It's even documented in the HBO documentary Hacking Democracy, where they'll go in and they'll cherry pick some votes, they'll run them through the machine, they'll come through accurately, and they'll say, see, it works just fine. So the people who are out there calling for audits want complete audits. They want hand recounts. Don't forget that hand recount up in New Hampshire found that the voting machines had subtracted 300 votes from every single Republican on that ballot. So it's definitely out there. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court has decided that about 200,000 ballots were likely invalid, but nobody has done anything to address that or to subtract those ballots from the election results. We're in this weird situation where everybody knows the election was stolen, and everybody seems to be afraid of doing anything about it, except for individuals like Mike Lindell, who is making his fame over the election fraud issue far more than with his MyPillow company. And he's come out with a new video, part 2 of the Absolute Proof series. We linked to it. It's at Mike Lindell's website. And they're piling on to him. They want him to shut up. And Dominion, who is suing everybody that ever said election fraud, Dominion says it is immediately going after Mike Lindell for tripling down on his election fraud claims weeks after the voting firm launched a $1.3 billion lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. They're trying to use lawfare to shut down anybody who questions the legitimacy of this last election. But I would like to point out, especially if this gets to the Supreme Court, questioning the validity of our elections is protected speech under the First Amendment. We have a right to say there is something hinky and it needs to be studied. Now we're going to talk about, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, then we'll talk about COVID. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We are living in dangerous days, and I am frightened by what you say. It chills right to the core, this talk of holy war.
Welcome back to our show here, and I'm thinking about those 3.5 million people down in Texas who are currently without any power and may not get it back for several days, and I'm wondering if this is that dark winter that Biden was talking about. Of course, Republic Broadcasting Network is headquartered in Round Rock, Texas. They still have their electricity, which is why you're able to hear our broadcasts. But what they're paying for that electricity is going to go through the roof. And so today there is an extra urgency in saying we need your help to stay on the air. And it's like it's 10,000%. increase. Somebody estimated that if you own a Tesla in Texas, it's going to cost you $900 just to charge it. That's how bad it's going to be down there. So this is an emergency. This is a crisis. And we do need your help. The postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724 2719 extension 3. Now, if you mail in your donation and it's for more than $100, include your t-shirt size and your return address, and you will get one of these spiffy official Republic Broadcasting t-shirts to wear around, and of course having the bragging rights. And don't forget that the front sight promotion is back on again, and that is a really, really sweet deal for those of you who enjoy firearms, who stand by the Second Amendment. So we really do need your help, and thank you very, very much. Okay, getting on to COVID-19. Joe Biden is out there promising a vaccine for all Americans who want one by the end of July, and says there could be herd immunity by Christmas. Huzzah, huzzah. Well, he's already had a bit of a slip up here, and Biden is out there saying that the United States had no COVID vaccine when he took office. It's either a verbal stumble or he's out there lying, because we had the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, and the Johnson & Johnson, which is was in progress at the time. So Biden is being accused of playing loose with the facts. And again, this took place during that CNN town hall last night. Maybe Biden is out there admitting that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are totally useless, or maybe he just wants to take all the credit for the defeating the pandemic to himself. But it was a very odd thing for him to say, because we all know there was a vaccine out there. We're still debating whether we want to get it or not. I actually got an email from the Census Bureau asking me to fill out a short survey regarding the COVID pandemic and the vaccines. And when it got down to the part, will you take the vaccine? I checked the box saying no, only because they didn't have a box saying heck no. And so I sent that along here. Biden is promising a majority of schools will be open 5 days a week by the end of his first 100 days. And he is suggesting there could be an extra summer semester to make up for the lost time for the kids, which they're not going to be happy with that. I mean, it wasn't their choice to stay home and try virtual learning. Russia's Sputnik 5 and Epivac corona vaccines have been proven to be effective against the British variant of the coronavirus. Ever since they discovered this mutated form, there has been a lot of talk. Will the Pfizer shot work against it? Will the Moderna shot work against it? Of course, Pfizer and Moderna are saying yes. Others are saying we're not sure. It hasn't been tested. But pardon me, over in Great Britain, serum obtained from people who took the Sputnik 5 and Epivac corona vaccines and had antibodies to the novel coronavirus demonstrated a protective effect against the British variant. This is from Russia's Consumer Protection Agency, Rospotrebnadzor, Russia's Consumer Protection Agency. Forget that other part. And it said that the vaccines have been shown to be just as effective against the British strain as they are against the current, what they call the ordinary SARS-CoV-2 virus. So that's definitely out there as well. I mean, remember, we had just weeks ago where the World Health Organization and the CDC were saying, well, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines won't keep you from getting COVID-19. They won't keep you from passing it along. They'll just reduce the symptoms. Okay. We're going to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Corporations, Wall Street and the banks rule our politicians. They don't deserve our thanks, then they tell us the banks are too big to fail, when the banksters all need to be in jail.
Welcome back to our show here. And this next story is going to come as a surprise because Facebook is deplatforming and banning critics of vaccinations or those who question vaccine safety. And interestingly enough, it turns out that Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has concerns about these new vaccines, gene therapies himself. There's a video that came out, part of I guess a a presentation or something where he says, he's concerned because this brand new mRNA technology, he says, we don't know the long-term effects of messing around with people's RNA and DNA. And it's a very wise and prudent attitude to take. And it did surprise a lot of people coming from Mark Zuckerberg. So maybe he's starting to rethink Facebook's position on this. Another story, this one coming from Global Research up in Canada. And it's talking about how there seems to be a revolutionary movement spreading across Europe that is specifically rejecting the lockdowns and the masks. Now, we have had stories in the past where the effectiveness of lockdowns is called into question, where the effectiveness of the masks is certainly in doubt right now. It's like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. But we have been reporting on all these riots and protests taking place across Europe. Now, the current corporate media in this country does not really provide a lot of coverage of these events going on in Europe. And what little we get is strictly narrated. And so most Americans who are not coming to the independent media in this country seem to be unaware of this spontaneous, leaderless, popular uprising against the mandated lockdowns and masks. There have been large demonstrations in Germany. It spread to Vienna and Copenhagen. The people there seem to have more sense than the public authorities. In the Netherlands, the Hague court has ruled that the COVID curfew has no legal basis, maybe because the COVID virus can't tell time anyway. And they said it's a far-reaching violation of the right to freedom of movement and privacy, and limits, among other things, the right to freedom of assembly and demonstration. So we need more of that here. More bad news from the world of COVID. A former Detroit TV anchor, Karen Hudson Samuels, got the COVID vaccine and died 1 day later. Now, she was an anchor at WGPR TV, producer, news director, and she was 68 years old, but otherwise in good health, and she got the shot and the next day gone. There's a whistleblower that has come out of a Berlin nursing home talking about how people there are dying after getting the vaccine. Roughly between 6 and 14 days after they get the shot, they basically die. And down in Greece, there's a hospital administrator who reported a nurse's paralysis after she got the second mRNA shot. And he's now in legal trouble. Now, the nurse is paralyzed. She's 40 years old, mother of 2. She's been a nurse for 17 years, and she got the shot, developed a fever, followed by excruciating pain throughout her body. Immediately after she got the second shot, she was rushed to the hospital, where she was unable to move or feel her lower extremities. So the hospital administrator went public with it. He's now facing criminal prosecution. You don't say anything or do anything that, harms the profits of Big Pharma. Israel has stopped 1,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik V coronavirus vaccine that were intended for frontline medical workers from entering the Gaza Strip. Now, Hamas, which governs the Gaza Strip, yesterday blasted Israel's refusal to allow the vaccine destined for Gaza health workers through its blockade of the territory as a violation of international law. Okay, let's start turning to the international news here. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Story coming out of ViewZone talking about the Iraq war deaths, and saying that on close examination of the numbers, the number of war deaths in Iraq have now exceeded those for Vietnam. And it's being hidden because of a little way that they changed the counting, as it were. They're cooking the books. Now, in Vietnam, if a soldier was dead, During his combat tour, he was considered a war casualty, of which there were 58,195. And some of these people died in the jungles of Vietnam. Some died in medevac units or hospitals in Japan or America. A dead soldier can surrender his life anywhere in service to his country. But with the Iraq War, under the Bush administration, they did something a little dishonest. And that was that only if a soldier died with his boots on the ground in a combat situation was he considered war dead. Okay, if he died in the hospital, wasn't counted. Died in a medevac unit, wasn't counted. Died in, anywhere but in the combat zone, wasn't counted. And to nobody's surprise, the official numbers for the Iraq War deaths were much, much lower. But when you count the total number of dead, of people who died as a result of their service to this country, Iraq has now gone past where Vietnam was. Another story, this from the Huffington Post. A lot of people are jumping on this one right now. And this one is talking about the number of U.S. soldiers who were wounded. Now, reports about the end of the war in Iraq, not that it's really over, it's still kind of bubbling on the back burner. They describe the toll on the U.S. military basically the way the Pentagon does. 4,487 dead, 32,226 wounded. The death count is accurate, but the wounded figure wildly underestimates the number of American service members who've come back from Iraq less than whole. And we're talking about people who came back with traumatic brain injuries, post-traumatic stress, depression, hearing loss, breathing disorders, diseases, other long-term health problems. Nobody has an exact number because nobody is keeping track. It's not a number anybody wants to be looking at. Who was it who said the first casualty of war is the truth? That was Senator Hiram Johnson. All right, Russian warships are now taking part in a Pakistan-hosted naval exercise, Amman 2021. They are exercising alongside NATO members, which is kind of interesting given the amount of hostility you see between the United States aimed at Russia. So this two-day naval exercise is actually finished up now, and it brought together 45 nations, including 3 of the largest navies, the U.S., China, and Russia. It's been on the order of like the rim pack we used to see out there in Hawaii. So during the maneuvers, fleets trained to work together during anti-piracy actions, performed on-the-go supply missions, and conducted traditional naval exercises like gun practice and formation sailing. Good for them here. The Air Force F-35 stealth fighters are now deployed to Guam's austere airfield. And basically, it's going to be part of the airfield operations in the Pacific. The exercise took place on the island of Guam, where the Joint Strike Fighters were joined by F-16s in operating from an airstrip in the northwest end of the island. The exercise was a major component of a larger emerging initiative that looks to provide dispersed operating locations that can be accessed by Air Force combat aircraft during a crisis. They did the same thing going into World War II. They went to every island and they put in these little airfields just to have there. And up and down the coast of the United States. They're still out there. I remember when I worked at Six Flags Magic Mountain, there was one of these World War II airfields just outside of the tourists, out behind the park. And it was actually used as a location for the TV series, The Black Sheep Squadron. So let's talk about the economy. And as we mentioned before, in the context of the storm that hit Texas, oil prices are soaring as U.S. oil production plunges 30%. Thank you for canceling the Keystone Pipeline, Joe Biden. Meanwhile, Iranian companies have clinched deals worth billions at the second specialized forum on supporting domestic production in petrochemical industries. So it was this huge expo, and they went on in there and they just made all these deals. So I'm sure the United States is going to be the government's going to be gritting their teeth about that. Joe Biden has now slapped down 2 of the demands from the ultra left wing of his party. First of all, he is not going to write down the $50,000 in student debt. I was in favor, actually, of that happening because these kids got suckered into those loans. They really, really did. He is now saying he will compromise on the timing of the $15 minimum wage. All right. The Nestle company is selling its North American bottled water business, including Poland Spring, Deer Park, Ozarka, and Arrowhead. This is a $4.3 billion deal, and it is letting go of these while it focuses on its premium brands. And I could imagine in times of a hard economy, a bottled water is probably not really considered essential. So Nestle may have overinvested in that niche market and may be paying the price for that right now. France is rapidly buying up Russian gas amid Europe's cold weather crisis. Texas and the United States, we're not the only ones getting hit with a hard winter. All over Europe, they're setting cold weather records. And can you believe the corporate media is still out there saying it's all the fault of human-caused global warming? The Arctic is getting warmer. And the Arctic is getting warmer and melting, and it's all coming down here. Well, if the Arctic is warm enough to melt, then why is the air and the rain hitting us here cold enough to freeze? There's a little bit of a logic flaw in there. But then again, you're not supposed to think logically in the current United States of America. But anyway, France is out there buying Russian gas to cover their shortfalls. Bill Gates is back at it again. This was actually on TV. I saw this on Fox News and even on One American News Network, which is becoming my favorite news channel now. Bill Gates is out there saying that the United States and other wealthy countries should move to 100% synthetic beef to prevent climate change. In other words, a vegetable-based synthetic meat. We've already seen a few trials with that, with burgers and whatnot. And of course, it's only a coincidence that Bill Gates has bought up a record amount of farmland in 18 states. Joe Biden's administration has ordered immigration officials to remove the words alien and the phrase illegal alien from all official communications. They are to be substituted with non-citizen to avoid dehumanizing language. Well, Joe, I'm going to go on calling them illegal immigrants. If they step across that border without the appropriate paperwork, they're illegal immigrants. Or if you want, I'll meet you halfway. They're illegal non-citizens. So let's talk a little bit about computers. We talked about this the other day. There was this popular barcode scanner application for smartphones. It's been around for a long time. It was up at Google Play. It was up at various other places. And then all of a sudden, barcode scanner seemed to be the source of a lot of malware. And everybody was scrambling around, how could they have been hijacked? How did somebody get in there and send out an update with the malware? And now the indications are that the programmers who created this scanner app had intended for the malware to be released as an update all along. And so the thinking was they put out this application that's perfectly clean and it's fine and it passes inspection at Google Play, it passes inspection at the App Store, it passes inspection everywhere, and everyone's loading it onto their device and using it because it's really useful. And then after a certain amount of time has passed, the company issues an update, which is just automatically forwarded through to the app, and the update is what contains the malware. And this is being called the buy to infect scam. I do not understand why the United States government is not treating computer crime as the clear and present danger it obviously is. We are talking tens of billions of dollars in losses every single year. Now, unless it's the government itself, like the NSA doing this, is another way of plundering and looting the American people, this is a loss our economy cannot survive. And yet the attitude of our government towards computer criminals is, well, you know, it stimulates the market for anti-malware, antivirus software, which is a poor excuse to let it run rampant across all of us. All right, tomorrow is when the Perseverance rover finally lands on Mars. It's going to land there tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be watching it. There's that 7 minutes of terror, entry, descent, and landing. And we're certainly wishing them well because this is the first rover, the first spacecraft from the United States since the Viking, specifically designed to look for life. It is saying it's looking for evidence of past life. I don't know why they didn't include present life there, maybe to avoid the embarrassment, because if any of these rovers actually see something alive on the Martian surface, then all those people who worked on Viking, like Dr. Gilbert Levin, would be vindicated. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. Hi, lover.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. And before we start taking phone calls, one more science story. Researchers using the joint Russian-European ExoMars trace gas orbiter, say that 3 times fast, have detected water vapor ascending to the upper atmosphere of Mars, adding further to the body of evidence that the red planet was once partially blue. And yes, there's a huge amount of evidence. There's evidence that Mars was actually quite a habitable place, but it suffered a gigantic asteroid impact that just really kind of wrecked the whole place. Anyway, more about that later. We're going to go to the phones now to Jim in New York. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike. You know, people are conservatives, if you will, or even listeners to your show, they're still watching Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me the short memories Americans have, including your audience.
Yes.
Fox News was instrumental in stealing the election.
Yes, it was.
Trump. And yet they're still watching. They're still listening to Tucker. Tucker's, to me, he's controlled opposition like anyone on Fox.
I'm not sure I agree with you on that. In fact, I'm surprised Tucker Carlson still has his job at Fox. But I catch Tucker Carlson because people will send me clips of his. But these days, I'm watching the One American News Network as my primary source of news. And they're definitely doing a lot better than Fox, and certainly way, way better than the other dinosaurs out there in the corporate media world.
Yes.
Yes.
It astounds me what short memories Americans have.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, that's forgotten. Let's go back to watching Fox. If you're still watching Fox, then you're deluded. They were instrumental in stealing the election from Trump. And yet they still watch like everything's the same. You know, I predict in 2022, it's going to be the same old. Republicans will win the House and possibly the Senate. And here we go again. Like,
no, they won't. No, I mean, the Democrats are busy locking in the machine that they used to steal the election last November. And once they do that, we will be a one-party nation. And it's amazing that the Republicans didn't have the wisdom to realize that they have basically been rendered a political joke by the Democrats unless somebody has the courage to stand up and start taking sledgehammers to those electronic machines.
yes, the elections are rigged.
Yes.
The only Republicans will win will be like Bush neocon type of Republicans.
You're absolutely right. Okay, Jim, we got
to hold on. No, can I hold on? I haven't called in a while.
Down the line. I'm going to bring you back after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. We're talking with Jim in New York, and you had one more thing you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people, they call it voter shaming. Voter shaming. And they're blaming third-party voters. Hey, third-party voters didn't vote for Biden. We didn't steal the vote.
No.
Blame Biden supporters and blame the people who stole it, including Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
And, you vote. No third-party voters voted for Biden. So they call it, in 2016, they shamed people who voted for the Green Party. The Hillary supporters blame them that Hillary lost. Hey, you vote for who you want. I respect that.
Yes.
And so blame the people who stole the election, including Fox. And I just astounded that I know in the circles I go, so many people still believing Fox News after all this, And, a month ago I called and I said, maybe people can do something constructive, like cancel your Fox News, cancel your cable or Netflix. And, I was kind of ridiculed by some people, including the New Yorker living in North Carolina.
Okay.
And, hey, at least it's constructive. It's a little thing, but it makes a difference. And people got to be careful. And I've said this 20 years ago, where you spend your money. See what you can do in your own life. I wonder how many conservatives still have Netflix. They're giving them, whatever, $20 a month. Netflix that promotes pedophilia. I wonder how much conservatives are still paying for that. So there's something constructive people can do. And one more point real quick. Your best callers, I find, are in the end of the show. So all the good new caller, Marcos from Alabama, a young guy, I like that. You got to start calling at 4:45 to 4:50 Eastern Standard Times. You got to call earlier. Otherwise, you're going to be left with only a minute left at the end of the show. So start calling earlier at 4:45, guys. You have wonderful callers. And Mike, thank you for taking my call, and have a great day.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to go to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I don't know if you know the show True News. It's a kind of a religious show. They kicked them off of YouTube, but they've got their own. They've got their own channel on Apple TV. They also got their own website, and it's got their podcast. And it's very. They're a little bit, religious fanatics in certain respects, but they bring up so many good news stories. And today they were talking about Bill Gates. I was listening to a podcast while I was driving, and they brought up this cartoon that's mostly, I guess, for kids.
Yes.
They said it's out of some guy out of India or something like that. But in it, these kids are talking, somebody said, you wouldn't want to get rid of Bill Gates because he's he's one of the richest men and a great philanthropist and this and that. He gives money to this and that. But then as it goes on, it's basically that he wants to pretty much get rid of the human population in this world.
Okay.
And then I heard, I think he had an interview with the CIA agent there, Anderson Cooper.
Yes.
And he pretty much admits so. He's getting big into the climate nonsense again. I mean, the gall. Here we are. Here people are freezing. Look what's happening in Texas. And this clown is talking about global warming. There's no global warming. If anything, we're headed towards an ice age. But we're being poisoned by this type of thinking. And then you know what? This guy what's the guy from New York that just called you before? It's not Peter, right? It's
Jim. Jim in New York.
Okay, what Jim said. It's true. I mean, people need to turn off the fake news network and all the other fake news networks. Now, I got rid of cable months ago.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I think even I got Sling TV, and they still have the fake news network, the nothing but crap Bill Gates, MSNBC network, and the crap network, news network, CNN. So they still have them. So you can't get rid of these files. I mean, I don't watch them. I don't bother with them anymore. But the fact of the matter is, it's very hard to get them off the air, unfortunately, no matter how many people want to get off, because they're usually included in these package deals, and you pay for these package deals. At least I'm not paying. All I pay now is for Sling is like $30 a month. I'm not paying over $100 or so that I would have to pay for on cable, either Dish or Direct or anything else like that. But unfortunately, you're stuck with these clowns. I wish it wasn't the case, but you're one way or another, we're actually contributing to keeping these scum in the air.
Yes.
Fox News, the fake news network, does not kid me. I think they got together with all the other mainstream news networks and decided Trump had to go. He had to. He was shaming him too much. He was not going along with the globalist agenda, and he wasn't going along with the neoliberal agenda either. He was still. I think we should have been out of the Middle East long ago. He should never have. It was a crime. He killed General Soleimani.
Yes.
And things like that. But at least he wasn't doing as badly, not as globalist as Obama was before, Bush was before, or this imposter is right now, the imposter in the White House. It reminds me, he said he doesn't want to use the word illegal alien. Well, first of all, I'll use illegal alien anyway, but I'll also use illegal president or imposter president, because that's what you are, Biden. You're an imposter. You don't belong there. You're the result of a stolen election. One of the biggest frauds that ever happened in this country, maybe the biggest fraud that ever happened in this country.
Yes.
So you don't kid anybody. No matter what my problems with Trump, he was thousands of times better than this clown. Okay? All right? Or this demon. I would call Biden and Harris demons, really, more than anything else. So,
okay.
And I just want to add one more thing to yesterday, again, with the talking about eugenics. Look, you guys, you don't like me talking about eugenics is evil. I don't care what you say, all right? I'm basically talking about to Dan there in Washington, but to a degree, Tom seemed to back him up. It is evil to the max. All right. And if you actually agree with eugenics, you're actually in the same boat as Bill Gates, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dan actually supports. I think he even said he supports him. And if you agree with Margaret Sanger, you're basically a Nazi. You may not think there's anything wrong with being called a Nazi, but I think there's a lot wrong with being called a Nazi, especially when it fits. It doesn't fit if somebody's fight of Karl Marx and you say, oh, he's a Nazi, right? No, that's not. But if you actually believe in sterilizing people, if you actually believe in actually killing people, whether it's vaccines or other ways, okay, or using abortion to keep what you want, what you think the world should have, then you're evil. Simple as that. And I want to add one other thing about Margaret Sanger. You think she only, her problem was not only with blacks. She did not like Irish. She didn't like a lot of the Irish immigrants.
Yeah.
And she didn't like a lot of she called hillbillies, the people in the Appalachian area where I'm living right now. Okay.
Yes.
She didn't like them either. She said they should be sterilized too. So, don't kid yourself. Okay. Dan, and understand this, Dan, in the world that the Bill Gateses of this world want, you wouldn't fit in either. Okay. They want just a few of these billionaires to rule, and they can do it with robots, they think. Of course, the robots will eventually turn on them, but that's another story. All right? So that's all I want. And by the way, Dan and Tom, or any of the other Miles, you guys want to debate me? I have no problem with that. I'd love Mike to put on for 15, 20 minutes. I'll debate all of you at the same time.
Well, I
have no problem.
I don't want to turn this radio show into a circus. I mean, we've tried that a couple of times before, and it kind of deteriorated very, very quickly, and so, and I really don't like these attacks from one caller to another caller. You've made your point about eugenics, and if we can make these points without saying, "Oh, caller, thus and such," in Hoboken, is full of it, and we need to let go of that kind of stuff. Anyway, Mark, thanks an awful lot for the phone call.
You take it. Bye.
All right, we're going to switch over to Bruce in Texas. Bruce, how you doing down there with all the cold and snow and the blackouts?
Hey, callers, not callers, but the RBN family would be proud of how I managed for myself and my disabled sister and stuff to work around all the cold and the shutdowns. We had no water and no electricity.
Ouch.
But I've got both, and I have enough to last a week. And food too. It was heck of a, yeah. But the main reason I'm calling is, do you remember Hurricane Andrew hitting South Florida in 1991?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was in the 82nd Airborne. This was after the Gulf War, and my brigade was on deployment ready status. They had 3 brigades, and one is always ready to go to the airport, and one's on training, and another one's on refit. And so we caught notice that just load up the Humvees and the trucks and head down to Homestead Air Force Base. So we were there in 2 days. Within a week, we had food distribution throughout the whole South Dade County. We had water buffaloes, we had water trucks, we had helicopters delivering food. My unit got letters of accommodation from the division commander for what we did. And I'm looking at this now, and I don't see movement at all. I'm pretty disappointed in the military. I'm pretty disappointed in Joe Biden.
Yes.
He doesn't even take a plane, at least take a plane ride down here. And this is a critical situation. People are dying in this 8 degrees above zero. We're down here that people aren't prepared for it. Our whole electric grid is just a shambles. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Just like in Katrina,
Yeah, we saw the same thing there. All I'm seeing so far, from the liberal side is they're making fun of the fact that, not too long ago, Texas was talking secession, and now, of course, they're calling out for help, and they're saying, well, serves them right. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And frankly, as I pointed out before, talking about the wind turbines and the solar panels, if the federal government hadn't gone in there and started mucking about with Texas's power grid, they wouldn't be dealing with these problems right now.
Exactly right. There's a coal-fired power plant outside of San Antonio. I believe it's shut down because for the conversion to green energy. It's just sitting there idle. And there's a coal mine on the Texas-Mexico border close to Eagle Pass. And the owners of that mine the coal and they send it to Mexico. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I
it's
believe
like uranium one. Mines their uranium and sends it to Russia. So no, it's not our fault. It's our fault, like you said, that we were monkeyed around, and it's also the fault of the federal government. Texas puts a lot of tax revenue into the federal system. We have a booming economy here, especially due to this COVID, and we're not getting anything back in return. So to me, that even strengthens the argument for secession.
Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree.
Yeah, okay. Well, to everybody else in Texas, man, just hold on. If you're down here on the Gulf Coast, and we'll straighten this out. We got to get these bureaucrats in order. I think I like Governor Abbott. You know, he takes a lot of criticism sometimes, but he's doing right. I think it all, yeah, like you said, it was piled on top of him, wind turbines and all this baloney. You know, yeah. Okay, that's all I had to say, Mike. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to switch to Jimmy in Missouri. Hello, Jimmy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Jimmy, are you there? Okay, we lost Jimmy. Let's go to Joe in Washington State. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
I heard the beep. You sure you don't mean Sheldon?
I don't even see a Sheldon in the list. Are you Sheldon or Joe?
I'm Sheldon, sir.
You're Sheldon. Okay. Well, Sheldon, welcome to our show. And okay, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Washington State also. We're used to, we usually get our 2 weeks of below zero in the teens.
Yes.
In about now. And then for the last 2 years, we've been getting it in December. It was coming early. So we just got done with it, and we're right on schedule now. But the last caller mentioned about how the White House occupant didn't care about Texas. And proof of that and all future is where's Ralph Winterow when you need him? But he states about in either the Bill of Rights or somewhere that you can, if you're a member of, almost said Parliament, if you're a member of the political sphere, you can't have a title or be anybody special or whatever. And I just heard
titles
today
of nobility.
that the senator in California, yes, titles of nobility, and the senator in California, I just heard today, is trying to set that up so that there's extra protection for all politicians. The only way I see to get around that is, again, by your previous caller, as soon as we can bust this country up, the better. Texas on its own country like it, I was told, already was. Make Eastern Washington and Northern Idaho either a state, I think that was called Freedom, or they were going to do Eastern Oregon and Washington a state along with all of Idaho. But there's plenty of ways to carve the turkey here. But if we stay together and everybody goes along to get along, this thing isn't turning around. It's accelerating from what I see.
Yes.
So thanks for your time. Oh, and thanks for clearing up the tit for tat amongst the callers. That was really a stressor for me. Have a good day up there and stay warm.
All right, we'll do our best here, and we're going to switch to Tom in Florida. Tom, I'm probably going to have to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day to you, Michael. And to that one caller from Texas, thank you for your service, sir. I can tell you all, the hurricane Andrew hit in 1992. So I'll get in that in a minute, but I just want to give my regards to the Rush Limbaugh family. I don't care what people say about Rush. To me, he was a great man. Rush woke up a lot of people. Don't ever kid yourself. Rush was something else, man. Especially back in, I would say, in the late 90s. Rush was a very powerful force. He woke up a lot of people. And, Rush was a brave man. He fought to the bitter end. He did fight, try to wake up the American public. Yeah, some things I didn't agree with Rush on, but 90% I agreed with Rush a lot of stuff, and he really exposed how corrupt the government really is, and he's been how the corruption's been going out since the 1920s. So Rush was something else, and God rest him and his family, and may they have rest, peace. And so yeah, now getting into what I was saying, Mike, that one caller you have in Texas, he was right on what they were doing in Texas, disgraceful. We have a great governor here in Florida, DeSantis. He's fantastic, and he's already saying on the news today, we're not going to allow illegal immigrants. Joe Biden's not bringing those 11 million. No more illegals are coming to this state. You come here legally, you get out. And that's one thing I want to make perfectly clear. Also, Mike, but before I go on the I'm not even going to talk immigration much today because I'm very bitter and I'm very upset about a lot more things that are going on, and I'm sure you're aware of. But, Mike, to that one caller, 1992 I was in the eye of Hurricane Andrew. I can tell you everything. It was like a freight train, a locomotive coming at us. Okay? I seen the Mass Tech Tower snap in half. Yeah,
Tom, got to put you on hold. Got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new Ease Off Drop and Lift?
What in the world is an Ease Off Drop and Lift?
Our Ease Off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the Ease Off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease Off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant them anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, We won't say we did.
Welcome back to our show here. And before we go back to Tom, apparently for those of our listeners in the Austin, Texas area, apparently boil water notices are starting to go out in Austin. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't have power, which means they can't boil the water. So things are going to get very ugly for people who were not prepared for this. All right, let's go back to Tom. Tom, you wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah, Mike. Well, the Hurricane Andrew hit on the 23rd of 1992, and it was a dry event. It wasn't really a big rainy event. I mean, there was rain. I'm not gonna lie, but it was more of like a wind event, and it was unbelievable. It was devastating here in the South Florida area, Homestead, all the way up to the Kendall area. It was pretty devastating, all the way up to I guess Coral Gable, you could say, in some events because of the big trees. But it was pretty rough. And I had guys that came down from New York, Fort Drum, and they actually stayed out on one of my places out there. And they were out from Fort Drum. I had like a company of them. There's like 70 of them, and they were down here for 6 months helping everybody out. The guys in Fort Drum, New York, in the Army. So they were down here really helping everybody in South Florida rebuild because it was in the billions of dollars in damage. But anyway, Mike, here's what I want to talk about. If I got 1 second here, a minute. I mean, listen, and forget about that. I'm not talking about the guy in Carolina today, but what I want to say is, Mike, have you seen the girl that put the Gorilla Glue in her hair?
Well, yeah, that was a really dumb thing to do.
Well,
it really
Mike,
was.
they have my daughter show me. She's like, there's videos going out right now. I don't know if you had a chance to see them. On her GoFundMe page, she got $30,000 or over, and a bunch of guys. Well, two black guys called in. They had funerals for one of them was for his son, and the other one was for a daughter that got murdered. I don't know if they got murdered or whatever happened, but they died. Their kids died, and they say they're cussing and everything, saying they can't get $30, let alone $30,000. But their loved ones got murdered. I guess I suppose when they died. I don't know what the story is. But I saw that. I'm like, what is this? And these guys are posting that they can't get $30 up and let alone if they let. But the girl put Gorilla Glue, and she got $30-some thousand on her GoFundMe page. So I thought that was really crazy watching that video.
It was crazy. Listen, Tom, I got to let you go. The phone lines are full. And I want to take a moment here. John Stadmiller's in the control room and wants to join me on the air. And John, are you there?
Yes. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing fine here. We're nice and snug and warm and inside and away from the heavy weather. How are you doing down there?
Well, it's a winter wonderland. It's been I've been in Texas now going on a quarter of a century, and I ain't never seen anything like this. Down here, your board, Mike has been doing double duty. Please go lightly on the man because he's been working double shifts. My morning gal, Julie, I just talked to her that she has no power, she has no water, hasn't had since Monday. And they're now telling people in Austin, well, forget dripping your faucets. You're just going to have to deal with it because we need to conserve water now. And what they're basically telling people is you're going to have one gigantic insurance claim because when it does warm up and your pipes do break, it's just a matter of a guess or a period of time to see how much damage you've really received. And this governor down here, I'll tell you what's hot down here, and that's his little backside, because people are not happy the way they literally shut the power grids down. And the excuse they're bantering around is, oh, well, the generating sites themselves were frozen. Well, they got maybe 23% from the wind farms, and that's what they were referring to, but they didn't spell out anything specific. They're playing this little game with the public, and there's 4.5 million people down here in Texas without power, no heat, and now they're telling them to shut their water off. I would not want to be this governor on top of what he's done with the COVID-19, acting like one of these stupid Democrat governors or city managers or whatever you want to call them, Mike. It's a damn mess down here in Texas, and it's 25, 26 degrees out there, and this snow has not gone anywhere. I've never seen anything like this in Texas.
Yeah, it's pretty intense there. We're 25 degrees here right now in Santa Claus, but they're expecting more snow tonight, and it's certainly a lot heavier than it was this time last year. So it's a bad storm, and the corporate media is still out there trying to claim this is because of global warming. The Arctic ice caps are melting.
Yeah, well,
Enough.
Here's a parting thought for you, Michael. Some climatologists are now looking at the trends in temperatures, and they're going, we might be entering into another ice age. The last one that happened here was 90,000 years ago, and it was big enough that the glacier actually dug out a big hole. Well, actually, 5 of them. I think they now call them the Great Lakes. And when they receded,
well, don't
there
forget
was
the
the
Little
water.
Ice Age. During the medieval period, we could be in for another one of those.
Well, I wouldn't want to be in the climatologist's shoes out there trying to push global warming. Yeah, they're going to call it climate change.
I would. I mean, it's the only job where you can be that wrong that often and still get a paycheck.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Well, thank you, John. And of course, John is going to be following me on the microphone in about about half an hour here. So, yeah, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once-per-year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's a favorite daughter. If someone wants to help her walk on water, we've destroyed her faith, treated her with scorn, and made her long regret the day she was ever.
I'm back now. Sorry, I missed the. Oh, there it is. There's the music. I had to go out back and deal with some issues of snow and ice here. All right, we're going to go back to the phones now to Robert in Kansas. Hello, Robert. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael. Terrible about Rush Limbaugh there.
Well, I mean,
So,
he had stage 4 lung cancer. It's not like it was a surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't, but he's a big dog in the radio business, and it's sad to see him go. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Michael, I want to talk about who runs America, kind of their guiding philosophy. But my call is sparked by one of your callers, Mark, who is bringing up the idea of eugenics, and I think he's a little confused about a couple points. One, Hitler and the Nazis outlawed abortion day one. This is something you can verify. And then the people, the person of Margaret Sanger and the person of Bill Gates are actually Jewish. So you can look up their backgrounds as well. So that's something he might want to look into. Now, Michael, who won in 1945, I like to call them the communist bankers.
Yes.
And what they are is dysgenesis. This is the word that people are looking for. Dysgenesis, the opposite of eugenesis. So the simple definitions of this word. So eugenesis, the simple definition is to bring mankind up. And the simple definition for dysgenesis is to bring mankind down. So in a dysgenic society, which we are in today, you'll notice that we have certain chemicals in our water. Our food is poison or GMO or non-nutritious. And even our air, some believe, is being sprayed and things like that.
I'm not too sure about that. Okay.
Since 1945, sir, I think that's what we've experienced is a lowering of mankind here in America because the people ruling over us, their philosophy is this dysgenic philosophy where it's not a meritocracy at all. Everything is based on can we put someone who's non-white in a position or someone who's a woman or someone who's a pervert, as long as you're not white or not a man or not straight, as long as there's some sort of what they see as weakness, what they see as something they can manipulate. They want to put those people in charge to bring down society where you don't have the best qualified in positions of management and leadership. In fact, you have something else which leads to what's called a cacistocracy, which I think we have now, the worst type of people in government running things. Doing things like
look at how the
our
Lincoln Project just imploded from the people they had running it.
Absolutely, Michael, perverts, right? And perversion is what it is. It runs the gamut from all different things. But yeah, if they could get to where they legalize pedophilia in this country, they would do so. That's the type of people we're dealing with. They don't like mankind. They want to make them dumb. They want to make them fearful. They want to weaken them with all sorts of poison and sicknesses, demoralize them so that they can control them. Because I believe it was John Adams that he said that, our constitution of a free people is only for immoral people because otherwise you can't be free. And so that's where these people are taking us. They want to, men and women are equal, right? And so once you believe that, then why can't two men or two women get married? And then eventually, why can't a man be a woman or vice versa? And so they stack these lies one on top of the other. They give these women all these rights to kill the baby, to divorce, destroy the family, and then to use up the resources of the family. And it's tearing our society apart where it's not that I hate women and want to take away their rights, but if you give women the same rights as men and they destroy your nation, destroy the society women themselves have to live in, like we see now, well, then is it really to the benefit of any woman whatsoever? By the way, 55% of abortions are of females. So, these people do hate
wait a minute. Can you clarify that? Because, I thought 100% of abortions involved females.
Well,
But you're
I'm talking the little
talking about the baby being
aborted.
aborted was primarily female. Okay. Took me a
It's
second to sort of
around
figure that
55%.
out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't explain it well, but yeah, it's there is a war. I mean, they don't like anybody, but if you happen to be as in a meritocracy, if you would normally rise to the top, they don't want those people running anything. They want the people who do as they're told, and they can have something on them to control them in some way. So that's what we're facing here is 70 something years now of bringing America from let's say the top of the line down to where we are now, where we don't even know what bathroom to use, right, Michael? So yeah, that's all
I know which
say.
bathroom to use. By golly, I'm going to tell you right now. I have absolutely no doubt which restroom I'm going to use.
Me either, Michael. But we're getting more rare by the day. And in this education system we have, they're going to try to keep pulling the kids towards a demoralized, non-God, non-traditional sort of lifestyle where everything is up for grabs, nothing is wrong. And they're already giving kids consent to sex change at a prepubescent child. And it's not too long, Michael, before they give them.
I view that as child abuse.
Well, they're going to give that. They want to give that kid consent to be involved in relationships too. So it's all a matter of step by step. They introduce, maybe lustful men, adulterous men, way back in the day, and then it's gay, and then it's that they have to have something now. They have to have something on you with a child or something like that, or a transgendered spouse or something in order to.
Well,
control
that's
you
what
because
Epstein was doing.
Quite enough. Absolutely, Michael. That's what foreign governments and our governments, it's about a system of control where they have to get something on you. Then they allow you in that position only if they have that thing on you, that if they were to expose it, you can no longer function in that role. So that's what they have to have on almost everybody. Now, I don't know if they had that on Trump, and he might be this rarity that, he's not perfect, obviously, but they didn't really have anything on him to control him. But most of the people in government, they're just so controlled, Michael, and they're just leading us down this path of destruction, bringing in all this mass immigration Tom talks about. It's the same thing. It's not that I hate Mexican people, but if you bring in Mexico, you're going to be Mexico, and things are going to be more like Mexico. It's just the way it is. It's not that I hate somebody. It's just acknowledging that truth and understanding that's what's going to happen. And that's where they want to bring us. They want to bring in all the people. Then they want to teach miscegenation in schools, which they already do. They teach race mixing as a positive thing, and they even tell.
Well, you see it in TV commercials these days. I mean, that's being reinforced in TV commercials where you'll have a couple, and one of them's black and one of them's white, and that's just become the normal right now in advertising.
Yes. And in a way, it's anti-black as well, or anti-whatever immigrant or whoever Muhammad Ali talked about. He talked about, why would I want to mix up with some white woman and have he called them polka dot kids. He said, you're destroying your people. You're destroying your nation. He said, I want to be with a beautiful black woman that's just like me, who understands me as a black person. That's what Muhammad Ali was saying. They tried to say, well, he was racist. Well, he's not racist. He's just simply acknowledging the way that, red birds fly with red birds, blue birds fly with blue birds. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way things are.
A good way to put that, yes.
Yes, Michael. And so I just, hopefully we can break out of this somehow and figure out that our kids are being dumbed down and they are being pushed in this direction to bring them to a lower moral state, a lower mental state. And hopefully we can figure that out and maybe change our schools or do more homeschooling or something to push back on this demoralization, where we can get back to there is a right, there is a wrong, a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and we have our roles in life. And if we don't fulfill them, our society, like it is now, it will be shattered in a way where we don't have families. If you break enough families, you break a community, you break enough communities, and you get the USA as it is now, which is not what it used to be, right? I mean, when you were a child, you remember the USA the way it was. Look at it now. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, they're just tearing us
No,
apart.
I agree, you know, and looking around here in Santa Claus, Indiana, it's almost like the land that time forgot, because the local values and, you know, the reliance on family structure and everything really does feel like it's from an older time. Certainly, you know, when it's a lot like life was like when I was a kid. And but yeah, we're watching the rest of the country deteriorate. And I want to skip on back to what you were talking about, Nazi Germany, and how they implemented eugenics. And we know that there was a desire to get rid of certain classes of people, like the mentally retarded and the gays and the Roma. But most of their eugenics efforts were in the form of positive reinforcement, where women who produced children of the acceptable bloodlines were given medals. There was the Honor Cross of the German Mother, which came in bronze, silver, and gold. If you had 5 kids, you got the gold one. And with the medal came all these state-supported benefits. And so it was more positive reinforcement than negative. Whereas in the United States, it was more of a negative reinforcement situation. Anyway, Robert, I'm going to let you go here because we're getting to the top of the hour and the end of the show, and we've got a bunch of callers on the line. So thank you very much. And we're going to switch over to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Are your lights on?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, we have had really bad weather for the last couple of days. Our temperature got down to 7 degrees last night, and the night before we're going to have another ice storm tonight.
Yes.
And of course, the power grid was really on the verge of collapse. It still might collapse.
Yes.
But to make matters worse, we don't have water in Austin. Now, I'm okay here. And I'm a prepper. I've got 2+ years worth of food, close to 3 years worth of food in my house. And I got things. I got water in Austin. There are other people who don't. What I want to point out now is that the problem you're seeing here in Texas right now is a preview of what you're going to see with Biden's green raw deal. And
Yes.
what he's going to do is he's going to attack the base load infrastructure of this country, because they're selling us on the idea that we can replace that hydrocarbon, nuclear, coal base load with the solar and wind. And it was the solar, the solar and the wind component in particular that really both caused this thing to collapse the way
Yes.
that it did. Half of the turbines were frozen stiff, and of course they'll only operate when you have wind blowing, and of course the solar panels only operate when you have sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're seeing now really is an example of what you're going to have under Biden. You're going to have rolling blackouts and brownouts because you're not going to be able to produce the energy that you need to sustain a society like ours. People better wake up and look at what happened here in Texas, because this, I said, is a preview of what you're going to get under Joe Biden. Period. So,
not to mention Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, well, I want to get off so other people could chime in, but I just want to chime in there with that observation. I'm serious. This is a preview of life under Biden. So get used to it if you don't want to fight it. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Michael, I put out this line on your show a while ago. I said, if you don't like eugenics, then you marry the ugly girl.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, like eugenics, like evolution, is like making a sausage.
Mm-hmm.
We love the results, but you don't want to watch the process.
Well, yeah, it's like, never actually look in the kitchen at the restaurant.
Exactly, or at the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
In a sense, that's the evolutionary process. The evolutionary process has weeded out weaklings and the other maladaptive over the millennia. And the result is modern man.
Yes.
And if we want to just ignore this good breeding that has resulted, I would argue, in the higher forms of this evolutionary process, which for me, as a racist I am, as European man, I think it's the pinnacle of human evolution, in my opinion. And so if you want to undermine it through racial intermarriage and things like that, that's that's one form of, I would call it dysgenics.
Okay.
But I think it corrupts this evolutionary process, which has resulted in European people. And so, I'm not besmirching the other races because they have their lands and they evolved to adapt to those environments. So the people in
Yes,
Africa
they did.
are well adapted for living in Africa. They've evolved there. And so, through the evolutionary process there, that is the result that fits that climate down there. But I'm European, of European descent, so I prefer our people over their people, which is also a natural phenomenon. And so I would prefer that our people remain our people and, keep ourselves basically in racial purity, because and practice eugenics to continue even more evolution, so we're stronger, smarter, and more handsome. Because let's be honest, as I said earlier, we love the result of eugenics. When you buy the magazine or you're looking at the pretty girls, that's the result of eugenics. This has been selected by mate selection over hundreds of thousands of years.
Yes.
That's why we don't look like Neanderthal or the earlier forms. We've evolved. And so eugenics to me is, first of all, it's like yay saying, it's approval of the evolutionary process. We're liking nature. We like what nature's created.
Yes.
And we want to continue that process. So I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I don't think it's something that's wrong. I don't think trying to preserve your people, let alone, and by the way, this applies to all other people, all other racial forms. I don't want the blacks to be corrupted. I like it that they have Africa to themselves and they evolve and they can practice eugenics down there. Likewise for the Asians, Chinese, Indians, everyone. It's called universal nationalism. And one last point, Michael, on this topic. I would love for you to look up the work of Dr. Edward Dutton on YouTube. He is called I think the Happy Heretic, or anyway, he does great work on evolutionary psychologists and on what's called mutational loading.
Okay. All right, Paul, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials.
Dr. Edward Dutton.
Last segment of our program coming right up.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms, or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356, or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once-per-year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend Change your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves.
Welcome back to our show here, last segment of our program today, and we had a couple of callers waiting online and they both dropped, so we're going to finish up here with a little bit of science news. Russia's Progress MS-16 robotic spacecraft has been launched for a resupply mission to the International Space Station, and one of the things it is carrying is a replacement to the outdated docking module on the ISS. And if you watched the Dragon docking there for the visit, you probably saw one of the astronauts bang his head on some of the braces there. That is going to be deorbited and this new unit put in place. And along with that, the craft is carrying 2.5 tons of cargo, including propellant, fresh water, pressurized gases, and so forth and so on. So they're still doing very well up there. I wonder what all this stormy weather looks like from up there. A lot of people doing research down in Antarctica. It's kind of a fascinating place if you can deal with the cold. It's a great place to find meteors because they land on top of the snow and ice, and it's very easy to find them and identify them. One of the other areas that Antarctica is known for are these hidden lakes. Deep underneath the ice, which have been considered among the most inhospitable environments on the planet, but not entirely. And when scientists drilled through an Antarctic ice shelf far from light or warmth, they found a seafloor boulder that's home to several species never seen before. It's a reminder that life evolves to be comfortable in the environment that it is in. And the discovery marks the first time that stationary creatures that live their lives attached to one places have been found in the hostile environment. One of the largest of these hidden lakes is Lake Vostok. And the researchers who want to drill through the ice on one of Jupiter's moons are doing a lot of research there on how to basically get through the ice to the liquid. And once you're down there, sending out a robotic probe to see what's there as well. I still think that we ought to look at going back to Titan. We understand that at least one of its methane lakes is at least 1,000 feet deep, and I'm very curious as to what might be swimming inside that. Now, Britain is launching a search for the first para-astronaut. They are actually looking for people with lower limb deficiencies or possibly even missing legs being signed up for future missions into space. And what's really interesting is that Ray Bradbury predicted this was going to happen in one of his short stories that was actually made into a TV show. Which I think is really very cool, because if you think about it, it's not really essential to have those components if you're going to spend your life in space. Anyway, there's the music. Time for us to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. If it's anything like his earlier appearance on my program, he's got lots of things to share with you. We're going to be back tomorrow. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate to Republic Broadcasting. We're going to have a heck of an electric bill this month, and we'll be back tomorrow. Stay warm, stay safe. Aloha, America.